Okay, well, welcome everyone to the Mindfulness Sessions. The Mindfulness Sessions are in session. My name is Morgan and I will be your host this evening. We have the lovely Seline Ines. Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me, Morgan, and everyone.
I just maybe wanted to start off by saying, look, we had some really good news. We're slowly starting to open up here in Melbourne, Australia. What are your thoughts on that, Seline?
Well, the absolute truth, I'm a little bit cautious. I feel a little bit cautious, and I think that we still really need to hold back. I feel that at least wait till the end of the month, personally. But I do feel that that this is almost like something that it's almost like a glamour.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and because people are struggling, there's so many that are struggling being confined, and I feel that this is somewhat of a glamour. So I personally feel that people should still be really mindful if they are going out and about. And I personally am sticking to I'm locking in. I'm doing that till the end of the month for me personally, because I do have I'm immune compromised. So I'm being really careful. I'm excited for those that feel that they absolutely need to be out and about. But for me, no, I think that we should sit tight for a little bit longer.
Probably wise words. Now, these sessions, the mindfulness sessions, have been created as an offering for me, for community. And thank you, Seline, for being a part of tonight. I really, really appreciate that. Now, before we get started, I probably just want to do an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to the land, water and culture. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. So thank you for letting me do that. Now we might get started with some of the questions that people have submitted. So the way that I've sort of set up tonight, we've done 2 rounds, the warm-up round, and we've also done the actual social media question round, because some people have submitted some interesting and rather sexy questions for you, Seline. So the warm-up round. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Born and raised as a first-generation Italian Australian under the I guess the culture of very very strict Italian culture and religious. So a lot of restrictions in those areas. So who am I? I guess in a nutshell, someone that fought and broke bounds right from as soon as I could speak. I'm a mother of 3. I'm a grandmother of 2. I value community. I value tribe, I value kin, I value blood, I value ancestors and the like. That's pretty much in a nutshell, and I love food.
One of the things I find most interesting about you, and it's sort of how we met, one of your community rituals. So you practice witchcraft, is that correct?
I do.
Tell us a little bit about
Very much
that.
So. So my witchcraft is a combination of 22 years of neo-pagan learnings and teachings, and I guess woven very much with the Italian culture. So the I guess traditional European magic, village life, village magic. Yes. So it's a combination of both. Well, that's the work that I presented for the last 2 decades. But on a very personal note, is very much European magic. So traditional European magic.
And I'm so super happy to have you as one of my first sort of witchcraft and spiritual guests. Mindfulness and meditation and mental health is it's such a positive and important part of my world. But when the two can combine, I'm so super glad that you're here and my first guest. So the second question we have is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm going to say I'm probably a 5 when it comes to being a little bit anxious. And the reason being is I'm very much a face-to-face sort of a person. So with all of this that's happening with our COVID, this is a major challenge for me in regards to being online in this way. But we work through those challenges. So when it comes to that, as far as excitement, I am excited. It's pushing through some of my own blockages and hesitations and restrictions. So I'm going to say I'm going to go with an 8.
Okay, so starting
overall
with 5 and then working our way up to an 8.
An 8. Yes, well, the outcome is an 8. Let me have a sip of wine. No, it's water. But anyway.
Wine is still all good. Another question we had as a part of the warm-up round was favourite cookbook or style of food?
Traditional Italian. So basically I cook very much like my cultural food, so Calabrian food, and very much, well, my tradition, Italian, European food is very much my inspiration. It's I get a lot of creative, very creative with food, but yeah, Italian.
You are so
Traditional.
incredibly such a good cook. I can't wait to come over and have some dinner with you when this is all over.
Oh, likewise. It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
It
But
has.
yes, I look forward to cooking and a slipper in hand, Morgan.
Yes, yes,
Anyway.
100%. So we've made it through the warm-up questions. Great job. So the social media questions. Now, anyone can submit a question here in the Zoom room, or we can actually have each week that we have a guest, people can submit their questions actually prior to the event. So some of the ones that we found most interesting and most requested. How did you discover spirituality, witchcraft, or magic in your life?
Okay, the easiest way, I've struggled with that in answering that question. So there's some of you have known me for many years, and you would understand that for me everything's about feel. So there's not a lot of language. So for me, I was pretty much born in it. There was no difference. I never knew anything different. So spirituality for me was a natural understanding of a connection to all things. If anything, for me, spirituality and magic, raised with my grandmother, my mother, who was very big in her dream state and the language of dreams and the understanding. My grandmother, who was basically a Catholic witch, who taught me so much when I was growing up. It was a natural way. So how did I find it? I think it found me.
It's always the way. It's always
It's
the best
finding
way.
language. Yes, I found language over the last 2 decades as to language that people could understand, hence why adopting the neo-pagan language, yes, in order to teach and share my work. But pretty much it found me. So I really, there's no difference, and there's no words to say. It is a state of being for me, my spirituality and my practice and my magic. Everything we do is magic.
Everything
Everything we do is
for
connection,
sure.
yes. If we allow it. People are starting to understand this language more and more over the last so many years. But if we allow that is spirituality. If we allow ourselves to open up and expand self, we are connected to all things. That is spirituality to me. And these are my thoughts and my views, but yes.
And you've had about 20 years of community service. What has that taught you?
Oh, in every experience, I learned so much. What it taught me was, first and foremost, be grounded, remain grounded at all times. And politics is in all things, in all areas, yes, in community, in relationship, of course, in our external world. Remaining grounded, because it's so easy to get lost in the ego of what you're doing. And people naturally put you in positions of power. So it's easy as a human being to lose yourself in that. So for me, I've had the privilege, and I use the word privilege, of having some really good people around me in those 20 years who allowed me to not only be myself, but also if I feared getting lost in it, were really good anchors, if that makes sense. So yeah. So as far as community, it taught me so much. The connections. I have amazing humans in my world. The things that I've learnt from them, purely in conversation, in ritual, in experience, in friendships, it's priceless. It's something that I've missed terribly in the last 4 years, but where I needed to pull the pin these last 4 years. But community, my work in community was the driving force, and it was an inspired. I didn't wake up in the morning and say, let's do this. It was something that was very much a pull for me, one that lasted 20 years. And, it's still there. And it's just weaving its way in different areas now, incorporating other things. But yes.
Thank you. The next question that we had from social media, can you tell me more about what spirituality means to you? And I think you've sort of almost covered a little bit.
I did, yeah. For me, it's a natural connection. It's a knowing. I don't really have other words. What is it? I think I did write down a couple of things, actually, that might help.
That might help.
Everything's in point form. I really can't believe yes. Well, for me, and of course all my notes are everywhere, it is a connection. So what does it mean to me? I am connected. I am here. I am present. I am in this realm. I am in the realm above. I am in the realm below. I am in all realms. I am in all things. All things are in me.
Cool. Something that you've done oh so well, and it's so juicy and so delicious. Tell us about spirit kink. So you've merged the female and male and sort of in between sensual space of a retreat, and then sort of mixed it with magic. Where did you come up with the idea, and what does kink mean to you? Big question, I know.
Do we have a week? No. Okay, so what does it mean to me? So to me, there's no difference between kink and my I guess my spiritual practice. All things when I connect to magic, I connect to sexual energy, and through that it's creative, and through that, of course, you direct it, you wield it, you manipulate it, you do with it what you need to. For me, spirit kink is a combination, it is a combination of 20 years of public ritual work, breaking down binds 20 years ago, working with archetypal energies such as Baphomet, working with sexual taboos, religious taboos, etc., etc. For me, it's just the next step. And some of the ritual, and to me, the way I see the ritual, or see ritual practice, or see my ritual practice, or my spiritual practice, my craft, is no difference to how I view sexuality. It starts, there's a start point, it begins to brew, you're connected to the earth, you bring it up, you work with that. And that's the same to me in kink, within the kink realm. It doesn't necessarily have to be extreme, it doesn't have to be here, it doesn't have to be there. It's such a personal thing. I desire a place of safety. I did venture out 16 years ago in the public kink scene to incorporate, to see where I fitted in with that, within that space. Very drawn to, I guess, the taboo element, the what people sort of looked or saw or thought of the scene, particular scene, but always very much naturally drawn. But I ended up being assaulted at a public space, and I thought, I'll just stick with my lovely pagan community, and I retreated. So spirit kink was a combination or a desire to create space for all humans to explore, experience, not only their sexuality, but their sexuality combined or hand in hand with their spirituality. If you can understand that. There, we have got so much. It's not just today. It's all the taboos. It's all the shame. It's all the guilt that we carry on our shoulders from those that have been before. Yes. So we have so much work to do with that. I don't feel that there is a separation, and I know that some people do view that passion, eroticism, sensuality, sexuality, the exploration of that desire. When you desire someone, yes, there are no taboos. There should be no taboos. It is all just love, passion. It's being in that moment. It's no different. It's no different. So spirit kink really is a combination of a safe space for all people, and including in bringing in some of those more, I guess, shadow rituals. And it's been a bit of a struggle the last year to try and meld that together in a way that I can present to all people, not just pagan people. It really is about working with self, healing sexual traumas, working through ritual in that capacity, and of course being held, being guided, a bit like the rituals that I've done, not just the ones that I've done with Hawthorne over the years, but also the events that I held. It was always about just providing a safe space. When people feel safe, they'll go to places that they never ever dreamed of, but they feel safe. And in that safety is the exploration. So I'm sort of just the keeper of that space, really. Just a place, because I know I'm not the only one that desires a sense of safety in order for exploration and sexual exploration, whether it be kink, whether it be vanilla, whether it be whatever, because the umbrella is vast. Yes, I mean, it's such a huge umbrella, is very personal. And a lot of people aren't drawn to the clubs. A lot of people aren't drawn to the alcohol and all of that. And, they want to be in a clear space. They want to be clear of mind, clear of heart, to be able to explore. Not that I permit, not that I don't allow alcohol by all means, but I do really, really promote conscious. So in the exploration, be conscious, be aware. Alcohol and drugs, of course, diffuse things for us, and then we only we're left with more shame, more guilt usually.
Mm,
So by having clear experiences or conscious experiences, you can go to all those places without any substance.
mm. It's
My
such a
experience.
delicious space that you have there. It has an outdoor pool and it has a kink room and multiple bedrooms. Where would we find Spirit Kink?
Where I'm located, the general area is in Diamond Creek, and you can find us on the website. There's lots and lots of changes happening, and COVID has inspired some serious changes to how we do things here. And one of those changes is sort of pulling the pin on as a public space and making it very much a private, exclusive place. And people still certainly can book rooms, and there's a lot of, I'm offering lots of discounts because, of course, the COVID has affected most people in regards to income. I know that no area of my work is happening due to COVID, which is fine, of course, it is where it is. So yes, no, they can certainly find me on Spirit Kink or info@Spirit Kink. In regards to the space here and whatever offerings are coming up once the ban's lifted.
And trust me, I'll be there in a heartbeat. Don't you worry. So one of the other questions that we had through social media, how has your spiritual practice supported your time during COVID-19?
Well, again, I go back to I'm not alone. So always that sense of being alone, which a lot of people feel, which is, it's where they're at the moment. So my spirituality has kept me connected. I'm not alone.
Mm.
So knowing that I have their presence, whether it be a whisper, whether it be a nudge, whether it be just sitting on the couch reading a book and feeling presence, yes, I'm not alone. So, my spirituality, my practices haven't changed. I still do I do weekly practices in regards to acknowledging my ancestors. I do daily practices. None of that's really changed at all. The one thing that has changed is my connection to people, because I cannot, I can't touch you. I can't hug you. And for me, that comes from this place and not being able to do that. So I did think, oh, yeah, no, I haven't been affected by COVID because I've basically been a place of home for 4 years anyway. But I have. When I really thought about it, it's like, well, I have. Because now I'm choosing to want to be with my friends and open myself up again, and I'm not permitted to, of course. So, yes. But my spirituality, when it comes to the loneliness, not there. I mean, I can hug my spirit friends, of course. They hold me, but it's very different.
Mm.
I feel quite okay, yeah.
Now, just so you know, Seline, we do have a few people in the room. If those people want to submit a question, they can do so through the chat or actually jump on and ask a question after this very important question. And it's actually another one that's been submitted. So this is for you, Seline. How would you suggest keeping kink alight while in COVID, and how, as a community, can we still relish in kink together?
Okay. Well, not being an expert, I'm only 2 years into the public kink community, but not being an absolute expert. But for me, it's if you do have, if you're in a dynamic, texting, set tasks, and that was already mentioned before, set tasks. I would use this opportunity to keep it alive by simply creating scenes, potential scenes, keeping all that juiciness happening. And even if you're not in the same space, and a lot of these dynamics, they're not living under the same roof, but keep that up, the phone sex. Order some toys and lingerie together. There's lots of things that can actually happen. Have those conversations that perhaps you didn't want to have before. Explore other aspects of your sexuality and your kinkiness, perhaps. Look at other ways of self-pleasuring. Take time to pleasure. If you're in a relationship or if you have those around you and you're sexually open, explore each other, explore self. Take advantage. For those of us that are on our own, well, that's where it's, create scenes. My husband works away, for example. When he's away, he's got set tasks, and it's a simple phone call or it's a simple message, just little things. And again, it's just, it keeps that little flame alive. But yeah, the biggest thing for me was, because I'm not into sex talk personally, but ordering toys, ordering potential equipment that can be shared, has been a great excitement in the absence of being able to go to a store, for example. So online shopping, get that sexy outfit that you've been wanting. What do you like? You know, what is it that the partner likes? What is it that your dom or sub or top or bottom or whatever the language may be in your particular case? So that's how I'd keep it alive. I know with community, there's a lot of open spaces such as this where they are getting together and having conversations and sharing not just the highs of what they're experiencing, but also the lows. So there's a lot of that social media offering as well within the sex positive communities. But yeah, personally, what I just said, you know, there's so many things. Be creative. We are very creative when we create our scenes, so I can't see why we can't text those or hint at those just to keep that passion alive and the connection.
That's great. That's a really good one. All right. So a question that I haven't prepped you on. One of the ones that I probably haven't prepped you on is I'm loving your little series on Facebook where you're actually facing your friends, your family, and actually teaching us how to cook. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, food for me is passion. I'm an intuitive cook, as you know, as I said, very traditional. So for me, when you first asked me about this interview, you know, as excited I was as excited as I was that you thought of me. As you know, I was really quite anxious. So I've spent my life, you know, over 5 decades, and I won't go any further than that. But I've spent my, you know, over 5 decades pushing myself where I'm scared the most. And when I've taught and when I've seen clients over the years, it's the same sort of principle. I lead by example. So knowing that this was coming up last week, I thought, well, I love food, and I've had so many people over the 2 decades, particularly within the pagan community, and of course, you know, in my earlier life, wanting to know some of these traditional recipes. So I thought it was a really good way of challenging myself in preparation for this little interview tonight, where I just set up my little laptop and I made out that I was teaching a class. So I just, you know, I looked at what I was doing, and that's why they were short and brief. They weren't very long-winded per se, but it was a way of challenging and pushing myself, of pushing through the fear of this. Some of you may know my history. I'm not great with technology. I'm not a fan of technology. I feel that it very much is a barrier. So having that mindset, having you know, just having a birthday in February before the crisis happened, I was really ready to step out and step back out and start doing community work again. And then COVID happened. So I figured that Spirit was challenging me in the sense of, well, yes, you are stepping up, you are coming out, but it's not how I saw it. And this is the coming up and the stepping out is through this technology. So yeah, the cooking shows were really 8 years in the making. It was meant to be in Nonna's Naked Kitchen, in Strega Nonna's Naked Kitchen, but I didn't think that was appropriate for the morning viewers, I guess. There might be an R-rated one at some other stage, but I'm keeping them up. This week's recipe, hopefully Friday, will be my famous stuffed eggplants.
Oh, we've got a
capsicum, sorry. Yeah.
Capsicum. Well, you can always aim to eggplant in future. We've got another question that just popped up from our lovely guest, Riven, and a dear friend. Riven has asked, what's an intuitive cook?
Oh, so okay. So my personal, what I call my craft or my style of magic is intuitive craft. So intuitive cook. So I have the basics down because that's embedded in me. That's so if I'm putting together a particular dish, it comes very natural. Where I use the term intuitive cook is I've always encouraged people to explore and experiment. So I go by smell. I don't taste my food as I cook, but I do go by smell. I sense what it needs. And so even if it's a traditional recipe, I still experiment. I still will add something different because that's what I'm inspired to do. I had, when I did the green tomatoes, I had one of the ladies sort of email saying, oh, you know, I added a couple of other things. And it's like, well done. They added rosemary and they added a few other things. And it's like, that's exactly it. You know, I give you the base, you create the rest. And so to me, that's what I mean when I say intuitive cook. So if you're following a recipe, that's all it is. And same as magic, you can pick up a book, you can read a spell, but what is it? Is it yours? No. So add you to it. It's the same as cooking, add yourself. You might need more oregano this time because you're in a particular state. you might need that to soothe you, you might need that to calm you, you might need something else, but we're not consciously aware of it. So if you are drawn to pick up and add pepper, then do that. If you're drawn to pick up and add something else, then do that, because your body actually needs it, even if you don't realize it at the time.
That's a great answer.
So follow a recipe by all means. I don't say not to follow a recipe, but also allow yourself to be expressive and explore what you're doing. Yeah. Add.
Now, we've got one more question before we are going to sign off for this lovely little session, and you are doing fantastic. We've got a question from River, who is in the room. What does your intuition tell you about this time in terms of changing consciousness?
I may make enemies here. I'm actually really excited. So my birthday was the 28th of Feb, and I shut down. I became ill on the 2nd of March, and I chose consciously to shut down. Within that week, everything else had happened. I'm really excited because people are finding now, and I'm generalizing. So there's a lot of humankind, humans that are actually finding the basics of what it is to be a human: kindness, empathy, compassion, caring, communicating. These are things that are we were born with these things, and we lost them. And I'm going to use the word we've lost them along the way. People are now understanding that we are energy bodies, that we can do so much simply with touch, with hands. I'm hoping that the new normal is very much what we've experienced now. Does that make sense? Where we're reaching out, where we're looking at the neighbour and making sure that we hear them in the morning. Yes, that we're ringing up the parent or the friend or the whatever. People are almost patting themselves on the back because they are doing acts of kindness. And I think, fantastic, please keep doing that. But to me, and this is where I might upset some people, is at the end of the day, these are natural parts of being a human. And I'm really sad that it's taken something like this, because we've had major disasters throughout all of human existence, have we not? So why is this different? Why are people paying attention now? Is because globally, we absolutely, and I was going to swear then, we need it now. And we need people to go back to basics. And the basics are the chickens in the garden, the vegetables happening in the pot. Again, tapping in, connecting with, are you okay? Can I do something for you? Just if you've been human. So am I excited? I'm excited for the potential of, if we stay in this mindset of openness and kindness, because we would be experiencing a very, very, very different existence if we can hold on to some of these beautiful core values that we've learnt and embraced through this time now.
Great. Awesome. And I completely see it's 100% true. I find that even the little things, if I'm going down to the supermarket, just connecting in eyes, just looking at someone and just smiling, and you have that moment where you think, I honour you, I cherish that we're both vulnerable human beings, and for that reason we connect. So yes, 100%.
Absolutely. For me, I've spent a life, well, I won't say lifetime, even with the simple cashier at the store. So how are you today? Because they're there, they're of service. How are you today? And just a smile on their face. And it's not just because COVID. This is an act that pleases me as well, knowing that I've had 2 words of dialogue, that they're not just like the machine, as they've, that they are human. Does that make sense?
Totally. One little question.
Thank you, River.
And yes, 100%. From my heart to yours and to everyone here as well. I've noticed that you have a really beautiful and big family. You also have a pagan family who loves you a lot, and I'm one of them. How is your family going in all of this?
Oh, it's been interesting because, I do family dinner and I feed 9, 12 of us weekly or fortnightly. And, other than Sunday, I have not broken bread with my sons for 5 months. And it's been really difficult. And even when I saw them on Sunday, it was distant. It was only the 2 of them were able to come because of the numbers, but there were the 2, and we sat at opposite ends. It was really strange. How is it affecting them? Well, one of my children are always, there's always communication, and the younger one, bless, the is it the ex, the 25-year-old Jen, is actually texting, and are you okay? Is there something I can drop off? And it's actually been a good thing in that instance where the younger one, the 25-year-old, has been a little bit more mindful, which is great. So not going from the I to the we again, which is where we need to be as a race. It's been interesting. Not being able to hug babies and grandbabies and children. Yeah, it's been a bit difficult. But again, we work with what we have. For me, is my attitude. If I can't, I can't. So, put my energy in where I can.
It's great. Well,
another one of my little mottos.
And you know what? There's so many of them, and I just remember so many late night chats. Whether it be at witch camp or whether it be at Spirit Kink or your house, that means so much to me and so many other people. So thank you for being a big part of our lives. Thank you for being a part of this interview.
Thank you.
I'm going to start to wrap it up now, and know that this will be on YouTube for anyone who wants to rewatch, or actually send it to a friend or family member who needs a little bit of Seline. But thank you all for coming. Thank you, Seline. I love you lots, and I will be coming out for dinner and a hug when this is all done.
Absolutely. And you over there too. I can see you. You know who, and you. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Lots of love.
Thank you, everyone. You're all fantastic, and I love you, Seline, and I love you, everyone else. Take care and be safe.
Bye.